Hello guys, my name is Destiny and welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we're going to go ahead and get the direct of a particular user. For example, when we click on Karen Balder, we want to get all her messages, and when we click on Destiny Franks, we want to get all his messages. So let's just go ahead and get started already. What we want to do firstly is go ahead and open up our views.py in the direct application that we created in the earlier videos, and we want to create a new view, and this one is going to be called direct. So what we want to say is define direct just like this, and it's going to take in request, and it's also going to take in username, and that's because we want to get the direct by a specific username. So for example, when we click on Karen, we want to come to some like messages/inbox/Karen, then we're going to get all her messages. So that's how it's going to be working. Then after this, the next thing we want to do is simply get the logged in user by assigning it to a variable, and after that we are going to get messages. So we're going to say messages should be equal to message.get message function that we defined in our models. Now user is going to be equal to user. Okay, just like this. Then after this, the next thing we want to do is get active direct, and active direct is going to be equal to username. I'm still going to explain this, guys, in case you don't understand what's going on. Then we also need to get directs, and this one is going to be equal to message.objects.filter, and we are simply going to pass in user should be equal to user. We need to pass in recipient underscore username. So recipient underscore username should be equal to username that we defined over here. Okay, so after this, the next thing we're going to do is simply go ahead and update is read. So we're going to say direct.update should be equal to is read equal to true. Okay, so after this, the next thing we're going to do is say for message in messages, and what we're simply doing is running the for loop across the whole messages that we've got in our model. For example, let's say that Karen have gotten like 10 messages, and no, not like Karen, let's say that all the whole message objects that we have in our model is like 20 messages. Now what we're going to do is if message, and we're going to pass in user, and we're going to pass in dot username just like that, and this is going to be equal to username. Then after this, we simply let's make sure that we are ending this off. Then we simply want to say message on read should be equal to 0. So that means we don't have any unread message. Okay, so what does this mean? Now we're gonna run a for loop against all the messages that we've got in our model. So what we're simply doing over here is getting the messages of a particular user and comparing it to a user. So if Destiny over here has opened up his messages, then what we're simply doing is setting all his unread messages to 0. So hopefully you guys understand what's going on. Then after this, we simply want to pass in a context, and this context is gonna be like this. So we're gonna copy this and we're gonna paste it in here. So there's going to be context, there's going to be direct messages and active direct. So direct messages and active direct, and this one is going to be called, let's say it's going to be called direct.html. So what we need to do is come over to our template, come over to direct, and we need to create a new file, and this one we're going to call it direct.html just like that. Okay, and after this, we also need to create a URL for it. So we're going to open up our urls.py, and in here we need to pass in, okay, I think we don't need to create this in here because there is a username in the function over here. So that means we need to create it in our main project urls.py just down here. But this one we're gonna call it, we need to call this one, let's say message section, something like that, and we need to pass in parts. Now this one is going to be direct. You can name it whatever you want. We pass in parts, but before that I want to go ahead and import our views. So I'm going to say from direct.views, I want to simply import the inbox. We created it, you remembered, and I also want to import direct. Okay, these are the two things that we've created. Now we pass in URL pattern, we pass in direct over here. We can, oh sorry, not that, we can open up a string and we can say direct /username just like this. And we also need to pass in the view that we created, which is direct, and we need to give it a name. So this name could be anything, it could be direct too. Okay, so after this I think that should be it. Let's see if we've got any error in our, okay, there is no error there. When we refresh this, there is no error too. So what we can simply do is come over to direct /destiny. Okay, and what do you notice? I think it's working, but there is an error somewhere, and the error is from here. So it says list indices must be integer or slices, not string. Okay, let's see what the error is all about. I think it should be a for loop error. Now we need to get rid of this s over here, because we say it for message in messages. That means we'll be using each message that we got. Now when we refresh this, I think this is supposed to work. Now let's see what's the error again, and we need to get rid of this one too, and let's refresh. Okay, as you can see, it's working now. So what we need to do is simply go ahead and create a template for it. We already have a template, but we need to go ahead and configure it to actually make it work. Okay, in the urls.py, in the main URLs, I want to get rid of this one. For now, I'm still gonna stick with putting it in here, and if there is any error, we're still gonna go ahead and change out some things. Now when we refresh this, we're gonna get an error definitely. So we need to pass in message/direct/Karen, something like that. And let's see, okay, it's supposed to be direct instead /Karen. Let's see how it's written in the URL. As you can see, it's direct. Let's see if something's wrong with our server. Okay, I need to say views.direct over here, and let's refresh this. Let's make sure our server is running, and it is. Now when we refresh this, what do you notice? It's working perfectly well. Now what we need to do is go ahead and get the templates for the direct.html. So I'm simply gonna hop over to my templates folder, and I'm gonna grab up the template. So I'm gonna come over to template and open up this one, and I'm gonna grab the template. So this is a template. Now what I did was simply come over to inbox, and you could just copy the inbox template and paste it in here. It's all the same thing. It's gonna work exactly the same way, and I'm just gonna paste it in here too. And let's refresh this. As you can see, it's working. But right now, when we click on the user, we are not getting the particular user direct. But how about when I manually go from the URL? What do you notice? Now we get hello, it's a new message. And when we come over to Destiny, just take note of how it's gonna load up Destiny's messages. Okay, so it's working perfectly well, but we need to get it by clicking on this direct over here, like Karen Balda or Destiny Franks. So what we need to do is simply pass in the URL to the template, and we're going to do that from the direct.html. And what we need to look for is this part over here, and that's simply by coming over here, and this is it for message and messages. So this is the one that's loading up the messages over here, as you can see. Now we need to look for this part. So what we're going to do here is simply add in a URL, and what you're going to add in there is direct. You remember that's what I called it, and we're going to pass in message.user.username. Okay, now when we refresh, what do you notice? If I click on Karen, we get Karen's message. If I click on Destiny, we get Destiny's message. So I think we achieved the functionality that we are looking for in this video, and that's pretty much what I want to be doing. You see, now we can simply go to the back end, send a new message, and when we click on it, let's say we have a new user named John. If he clicks on this message, he's gonna get all the whole message that he's been having with someone and all that. So hopefully you guys understood what went on here. If you don't understand something, or if a line of code is confusing, you just drop a comment in the comment section below, and I'll be there to help you guys debug it. I hope I'll see you guys in the next video, where we're gonna go ahead and start working with the send message function, so that when we click on this and say something like hi and click on send, you're gonna see it pop out over here. So that's what we're gonna be doing in the next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Do make sure to drop a like, because that subscribing is to mean the world to me.